But notice this thing here. These rituals are designed to open up portals to allow the old ones back into our universe. And I think that's why partly we're seeing more and more, because we used to do these rituals. Next slide. Oh. You can't understand the impact Lovecraft has had in our popular culture. Dozens of books and stories have been inspired by Lovecraft. Movies. I don't know if you ever heard of this H.R. Geiger, or Giger, I'm not sure how he says his name. He's actually a member of the Swiss OTO, which is a Crowleyan cult. He's a very, very bizarre artist, and he's the one who designed the original Alien for the movie Alien. And he said he got his inspiration for his art by meditating on the works of H.P. Lovecraft. And I'm sure probably a lot of you have seen the movie. It's considered a horror classic, but that is very similar to some of the things you see when you conjure up these kind of entities. Interestingly enough, the sequel to the Satanic Bible is called the Satanic Rituals, and it actually has 2 authentic Lovecraftian or Trans-Yugothian rites in it. So, this stuff is constantly going around and is out there all the time. Now, when the typical UFO person or occultist approaches these subjects in the direction of faith or science, or at least pseudoscience, Lovecraft, Cthulhu mythos, which is what this whole thing is called, comes to the same subject as black magic. And it's just amazing how all this stuff correlates. Next slide. Now we're going to get more into some autobiographical material. Let's see here. I want to say this one thing. I don't want to get into a debate academically of whether or not Lovecraft's mythos is real. Some people say it isn't, some people say it is. The point is to understand that almost 85 years ago he began tapping into something of the human psyche which both satanic magicians and fallen angels have very much wanted to cultivate. He's pulling these things, he's dead now, but he was pulling these things out of his own psyche from the very depths and most horrible parts, and now they're being used worldwide in satanic rituals. Okay. Tunneling through space with cocktails. How's that for a subtitle? The guy who taught me about half of what I know about black magic was a very strange Gnostic archbishop. I talk about this extensively in my book, Lucifer Dethroned. This gentleman, who's still alive, and he's still got a presence on the web, but I'm not going to tell you his name because he's that dangerous. He was a very weird individual. He was a deacon in the Anglican Church, Episcopal Church, and he was sent as a missionary down to Haiti. And while he was down in Haiti, he happened to run across the Pope of Voodoo. Did you know there was a Pope of Voodoo? And at that time, the Pope of Voodoo was Hector Francois Germain. And he brought him into the highest levels of Voodoo. And at that point, he decided, I'm going to leave behind my career as an Episcopal clergyman, and I'm going to become a Voodoo hierophant. And by the way, this is a white man. And not that matters, but most people think of Voodoo as being primarily an African-American or African type thing. And it really isn't. This guy had me come down and study under him. And I'll tell you, he was, he'd do things like we'd get up in the morning and we'd have to have cocktails in the morning, which is a little weird. Then he'd have us say the Divine Office, which is this book of prayers that Catholic and Anglican clergy use. Then we'd have to say rosaries. Then we'd go do obscene satanic rituals for a while. Then we'd come back and have some more cocktails. And, this guy was really strange. And what he did is one of the many things he taught me was how to create Trans-Yugothian icons. Now, an icon, I'm not talking about a computer icons now. An icon is like a sacred painting in the Orthodox Church. If you go into like a Greek Orthodox church or whatever, you see these icons of Mary or Jesus or whatever, Well, those are believed in the Orthodox religion to be windows to heaven. Well, what these things were, they were windows to hell. They were windows to other dimension, other space-time continuum. And he taught me how to do that. He created like these obscene portraits that were, I can't even describe them. And you could, by meditating in them, you could go into other universes. And I'll never forget, one night I spent in his apartment was enough to really scare me to pieces, because he had these paintings everywhere, oil paintings. And he had me sleep on a futon, which was in the middle of his living room. And as I was laying there, I would hear rustling sounds. And I'd turn on a light, and all of these weird plants that he had in the window had moved around. I won't even tell you what he watered them with. Then I turned off the light, and I was a little freaked out by that, and I'd hear more rustling sounds. And I turned on the light, and the paintings on the wall had moved around. And at that point, I got out my rosary. It's like, Anton LaVey sleeps with a nightlight, right? And here's a great satanic priest, I heard more rustling sounds. I turned on the light again. The paintings had moved some more, but not only that, the content of the paintings had changed. The figures in them had moved. And, I still get goosebumps about it. Anyway, the key thing that he taught me was how to open up portals to Sirius B and thence to Universe B. Let me explain what that means. You've probably heard, in fact, Michael taught earlier about the star system, the star Sirius. Sirius is a red giant star that's the most prominent star in the heavens, and it's in the Canis minor constellation. It's called the dog star. And in fact, it's interesting, there's a line in Crowley's Book of the Law, is God to live in a dog? Because God and dog, God backwards is dog. Anyway, there's this strange tribe in Africa that for hundreds of years, part of it, they worship the star god Sirius. And interesting enough, one of the names of Sirius, which is the evilest star in the Egyptian pantheon, is the Eastern Star. So the next time you see those Order of the Eastern Star, nice little temples and everything, with their upside-down satanic pentagrams as their logo, think of that. Anyway, this tribe claimed that there was a dark twin to Sirius, even though they had no telescopes, they had no nothing. And they only found out after they got radio telescopes that Sirius does have a dark twin, and it's Sirius B. And magicians understand that by invoking Sirius B, they can go into other dimensions and other universes and conquer those universes, use the power from those universes to fuel their own magical power. That's part of satanic theology. Next slide. You do this through what is called the tunnels of Typhon. And Typhon is an Egyptian destroyer god through the use of voodoo. See, a lot of people think voodoo is this very primitive, we looked at it very kind of, I hate to say it in a racist way, kind of condescendingly. It's actually an extremely sophisticated magical system. And you notice this word here, Qliphoth. Qliphoth is the Hebrew word for shell or harlot. And this is the backside of the Kabbalistic tree of life. And it's the evilest part of all Jewish mysticism. And naturally, dummy me, I was invoking it. You travel through these tunnels of Typhon into other dimensions through non-Euclidean geometry, and we used applied evil and terror as energy constructs. I was taught how to perform masses to star gods and crystalline intelligences from other galaxies in order to gain more and more power. See, this is like a weird blend of Satanism and science fiction.